I predict a Beyoncé and Jay-Z divorce announcement in 2025. It's officially gone too far. It's too much. The allegations are terrible.
There have been some wild whispers circulating about Beyoncé potentially calling it quits with Jay-Z following the mind-boggling lawsuit that dragged the music mogul into the Diddy scandal. While many fans of this power couple struggle to imagine their separation, others are beginning to believe that, at this point, nothing is off the table. After all, Queen Bey has spent decades building an untouchable empire, cementing her reputation as one of the most iconic forces in the industry. It's hard to imagine her risking her freedom or tarnishing her legacy for anyone, even her longtime husband. With so much to lose and so little to gain, letting someone else's actions jeopardize her hard-earned success seems highly unlikely. So, the big question remains, could Beyoncé really be walking away from Sean Carter this time? According to fresh insider reports, there might be more truth to these rumors than we initially thought. The latest Hollywood buzz claims Beyoncé's been quietly distancing herself from Jay-Z, with the most telling move allegedly being her decision to drop the Carter surname. Yes, you heard that right, Queen Bey is reportedly back to going by Beyoncé Knowles instead of Beyoncé Knowles Carter. If true, this subtle shift speaks volumes and could mark the beginning of a major shakeup in the Carter family. Let's unpack this bombshell development. Beyoncé isn't just a star, she's the star. Over 2 decades, she has built a legacy so powerful that even A-list celebrities are left starstruck in her presence. She's the definition of a queen, and when paired with Jay-Z's influence, it's easy to see why they're considered the ultimate celebrity power couple. Together, they've dominated industries, commanded respect, and sparked fear among their peers. But with the Diddy scandal creeping closer to their doorstep, the stakes have never been higher. One might expect the Carters to fight this battle head-on together, but why would Beyoncé risk her iconic status right now? The insider whispers about her dropping the Carter name suggest that the unthinkable might actually be happening. At this stage, it's impossible to predict where this scandal will lead, but the implications for the Carter family are monumental. The fallout from Diddy's controversies has been massive, and Jay-Z could still find himself further entangled in the mess. Despite his legal team's denials, his long-standing friendship with Diddy is no secret. Social media is rife with evidence of their connection, making it nearly impossible to argue otherwise. If there's any truth to the rumors of Beyoncé dropping the Carter surname, it raises a pressing question: could she truly have been unaware of her husband's alleged ties to Diddy all these years? Or is she only now discovering just how deeply Jay-Z might be involved in this chaotic situation? While the full picture remains unclear, these questions have never felt more relevant. Could Beyoncé be realizing she doesn't know her husband as well as she thought? Let's not forget the cheating allegations that have loomed over their relationship for years. Perhaps she's finally had enough and is choosing to distance herself before things spiral further out of control. The Queen's next move could be her most decisive yet.
I predict a Beyoncé and Jay-Z divorce announcement in 2025. It's officially gone too far. It's too much. The allegations are terrible, and her being tied to Jay-Z, I just don't see her sticking by his side for the long run, especially right now.
Or perhaps it's simply about protecting her empire. Beyoncé's brand is a billion-dollar powerhouse, and risking it over something she might not have been privy to seems highly unlikely. She's no stranger to the way the media operates, how speculation and rumors can cast guilt by association, even if she genuinely has no clue about the situation. For someone as calculated and meticulous as Queen Bey, distancing herself might not just be about her personal life, it could be a strategic move to safeguard her legacy and empire from the fallout. What really set the gossip mill ablaze was a recent Forbes article that referred to Queen Bey as Beyoncé Knowles instead of Beyoncé Knowles Carter. Interestingly, during her most recent tour, she was consistently referred to as Miss Carter. This sudden shift in how Forbes addressed her, particularly in their annual Most Powerful Women list, caught everyone's attention. For years, Carter has been an integral part of her official mentions, but now its conspicuous absence speaks volumes. The timing of this change has fueled social media speculation, with many convinced that Queen Bey might finally be ready to part ways with her embattled husband. And honestly, would that be the worst thing in the world? Then there's Jay-Z's escalating feud with Tony Busby, the lawyer behind the disturbing petition alleging inappropriate behavior involving a then 13-year-old girl at an after-party in 2000. Jay-Z has declared war on Busby, and frankly, it's a drama we're all watching unfold. Diddy, initially named as the defendant in the lawsuit, has denied the claims, calling it an extortion attempt to extract money for the anonymous plaintiff. Jay-Z has echoed this defense, but his response has been far more aggressive, almost frantic. And let's be real, why would someone who feels completely innocent need to write such a defensive and lengthy statement? Jay-Z's reaction suggests he's rattled, and Busby's revelation about Jay-Z allegedly pulling strings behind the scenes to suppress the case before it was even filed only adds another layer of intrigue to this already tangled situation. There might be so much more to this scandal than we ever imagined. While it's difficult to picture Jay-Z in the same shoes as Diddy, things have gotten so wild in recent months that it almost feels impossible to dismiss the parallels. What really has fans questioning Jay-Z, though, is his legal team's claim that he and Diddy had no relationship beyond being professional acquaintances. Seriously? That's a tough sell, especially in the age of the internet. Pictures and videos of their close friendship over the years are all over social media. And now, with Diddy caught in a mess he can't talk his way out of, Jay-Z is suddenly pretending that their relationship was purely business? If Jay has forgotten just how tight they used to be, the internet certainly hasn't.
Yeah, I remember Fox Brown and Jay. Ain't no woman like the one I got. No one could love you better. Before that song came out, we used to hear it. I used to tell shit. I was like, woo, that shit. Him and Mystical, those were two songs that were hot. That it took like a year before it got, well, I'll say to the West Coast. I don't know if they were beating it up on the East Coast. But on the West Coast, it took like a year before those songs came out. And then Nelly's song with the Link St. Louis ticks. But I'm just saying all that to say, Foxy was young then as well. And so, all of these guys and the underage young ladies was running rapid in the 90s. And so, that's all I remember. That's all I think about. You know, with the DeBarge and Janet Jackson situation. Hey, that's all I think about.
Diddy, on the other hand, is currently being held in a Brooklyn jail while awaiting trial on federal charges. He has pleaded not guilty to the accusations. However, the latest updates from the court suggest he may be facing significant legal challenges.
Disgraced hip-hop mogul Sean Diddy Combs back in court today. The rapper appearing in a beige smock and pants for his pretrial hearing. Federal prosecutors are saying that they were on track to disclose all of the available evidence to the defense by the end of the year. Well, Diddy has been held at the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn following his arrest in September in a federal. Last week, Combs abandoned what was his fourth attempt to get released on bail. Joining me for more on this is ABC News senior investigative correspondent Aaron Katursky. So, Aaron, I know you just essentially left that courtroom. So what do we know about today's hearing?
Well, the prosecutors said they would disclose every piece of evidence that's in their possession by the end of the year. So by December 31st, the defense should have everything. And then the case is going to move toward trial in the spring of next year. Before that, the defense says it wants some clarity from the prosecutors about the scope of Combs's alleged criminal conduct, because right now, defense attorney Mark Agnifilo said the racketeering allegations that Combs faces, the defense believes are a little vague. Beyond that, Kana, the trial set for May 5th is on, and if there are going to be any additional charges, prosecutors today did not tip their hand, only telling the judge that any additional charges that are brought would not involve a lot of discovery, meaning there wouldn't be a lot of additional evidence that the defense would have to go through. So in the prosecutor's view, there would be no delay, even if Diddy ends up facing additional charges.
Diddy's legal team has dismissed these cases as shameless publicity stunts designed to extort money from celebrities, claiming they rely on spreading false accusations to pressure settlements. Jay-Z, meanwhile, has also responded to the lawsuit, accusing Tony Busby of attempting to blackmail him into settling the allegations. Busby, for his part, has stated that his firm does not comment on court rulings. In her lawsuit, the woman alleges that Jay-Z and Diddy assaulted her following the MTV Video Music Awards in 2000, when she was just 13 years old.
Accusers now say Sean Diddy Combs them, according to civil lawsuits filed today in New York. The lawsuits filed anonymously allege a pattern of conduct similar to what other Combs accusers have alleged, saying that Combs would invite them for a meeting, they would have a drink, get woozy, and then wake up to Combs raping them. Combs' attorneys calling the new accusations lies, denying Combs ever anyone. Our senior investigative correspondent Aaron Katursky joins us now for more. So tell us about these new civil lawsuits that have been filed, and is this the first time that the accusers have actually been men? I mean, we did hear from one accuser in the past couple of weeks, right, Aaron? So it seems like more men are coming forward.
These aren't the first men to accuse Sean Combs of sexual assault, but they are coming forward as a trio filed by a plaintiff's attorney named Thomas Giuffre, who says he had more than 60 people come to him to ask about suing Sean Combs, and he only filed these three that he says he was able to vet. He says they followed a pattern of people coming into Sean Combs's orbit in one way or another, being plied with a spiked alcoholic drink, and then waking up to having Combs sexually assault them. Now, Combs, as you mentioned, Kira, has denied sexually assaulting anyone, has called these new accusers liars. One of the men worked for Combs, and he says that he went to a meeting arranged at a hotel where Combs was saying to talk about some kind of monetary payment for jobs that he never got paid for. That's when he says he was attacked.
And people know that was around in that time that Puff and Usher did have a situation. And that situation led Usher to the hospital. Now I let Usher explain that to y'all. I let Usher tell that story. But how dare you say a man that groomed you gonna give him a pass? Bro, you know I know. Let me reframe you on something. Remember, Usher? We was at the Swiss Hotel. Puff had Kim in the room. Had one of Keith Sweat's baby mothers in the big room outside the master bedroom. He came outside in his robe. She gave him a fellatio right there. His back was turned to me. She gave him a fellatio. You knocked on the door. I came and opened the door for you. Puff went in the room. You came in the room and kissed that girl dead in her mouth. Now I'm telling that because you taking up for somebody that you know, and a lot of more people know, didn't do you right when you was at Diddy camp. Y'all put it together.
And what you mean by Diddy camp?
Remember, he was on one of the talk shows, the white guy with the curly hair. What's his name? The white guy with the curly hair. And he said, yo, would you send your son to Diddy camp? And Usher said, no. Ask him why he won't send him to Diddy camp. But yet and still you praise him.
Damn, man, and you said that, I know you can't go into detail, but you said that it was a situation where Diddy sent him to the hospital?
Let Usher explain that to you. Let Usher mama explain that to you. And the hospital was in Scarsdale, New York.
The tape we've seen is just one of many that Diddy reportedly recorded and kept at his mansion. 8 of these tapes have now been handed over to the FBI by Courtney Burgess, a close friend of Kim Porter. Courtney claims that these tapes show Diddy in explicit sexual contact with minors, some of whom appear to be under the influence. At times, multiple celebrities are said to be taking advantage of these children while Diddy watches. Allegedly, flash drives also contain an unedited version of Kim Porter's memoir, which supposedly reveals how Diddy ran his entire operation.
And those statements include descriptions of what the witness says he saw on those tapes. So I asked him about that, and he answered what he could, given the limitations imposed on him after testifying before the grand jury. Out of those 8 videos, 8 celebrities, 6 men and 2 women, how many of those 8 celebrities were close to being underage or potentially underage?
2 males.
2 males. And of those 8 celebrities, how many of them were intoxicated or under the influence of drugs?
This is going to be all speculation. I just want to preface it by he wouldn't know if they were. Right.
Sure.
Appear to
Let me
be,
rephrase it.
Based on, yes.
Understand. Out of the 8 celebrities who were recorded having intimate relations with Sean Combs, how many of them appeared to be either inebriated or intoxicated or under the influence?
All of them. All of them.
Out of those 8, how many appear to be potentially victimized? How many might have been victimizing?
I think all, to be honest, all.
Were victims
They
or
victims.
were perpetrating?
Victims.
They were all 8 were victimized.
Yeah.
Meaning
Victim.
this was happening to them and they were inebriated.
Right. Not knowing, I guess, how much proof it was in it, but they was doing it.
And of those 8, how many seemed to be potentially minors?
2 to 3, possibly 3.
Several other tapes have now surfaced, along with exclusive interviews from victims who had previously remained silent. These victims had been too afraid to speak out against Diddy while he was free, knowing the risks of retaliation. However, with Diddy finally behind bars and unable to threaten them anymore, these individuals have found the courage to come forward and share their stories.
Always advocate for yourself and be a voice for yourself. You should never let what somebody else did run your life.
A 38-year-old mother from Alabama who has filed a lawsuit accusing Sean Diddy Combs and Jay-Z of her when she was 13 years old is speaking out to NBC News for the first time. She asked us not to reveal her identity.
What made you want to come forward and talk today?
Because I think that I've been quiet long enough about what I've been through, and it's been hard enough to be quiet. But it's a chapter of my life that I'd like to close.
You weren't scared to be all alone?
No, with having autism is like feeling like you live your life in a shatterproof juggle ball. The world's on fire. The fire is inside the ball with you, but there's no way for you to get out.
In addition to having autism, the woman says she suffered a head injury. The night of the 2000s VMAs, she says a friend drove her from Rochester, New York to Manhattan, a more than 5-hour drive. Her attorney provided NBC News with the name of the friend who has since died. The woman says she spoke to Combs' limo driver who offered her a ride to an after party.
I stumbled upon Diddy's driver who told me that I was exactly what Diddy was looking for.
What did you think when he said that to you?
I thought it meant that I was just pretty.
She went to a White House, she says, where she spoke to musicians Benji Madden and his brother.
I'm talking to Benji Madden about his tattoo because, I have about his tattoo that's the Last Supper because I have a religious background. So it was just something to talk about.
At the after party, she says she had a drink that made her feel woozy. Then she says Combs and Carter took turns her while a female celebrity watched.
JC comes in and me. At that point, I was fighting, trying to get away from him, and he put his hand over my mouth and told me to stop it, cut the.
After the alleged, she says she ran to a gas station where she called her father, who picked her up and drove her home.
We rode home in silence. He didn't ask me what happened. He didn't ask me what I did or where I was.
And I want to start with Tania Wallace, who claims she's been at a freak off and said she saw children, and it was hard for her to say it.
It was very hard for her to say it, Ashley. So what she said was that she was flown out from LA to Miami by the Saudi prince. And they ended up eventually on Star Island at one of Diddy's parties. She says, you know, among many other things, I mean, she goes into detail. This, she says, happened in 2018. She says that she walked into the house and there was a cluster of adults around what she described as little people. And they were dressed up as Japanese Barbies. I forgot the name. It's Harak something. You can help me out here. It's a certain type of Barbie. Anyway.
I know the name, but I've forgotten it. But go ahead.
So she explained that that they were just clustered around these little people, and I kept pushing her, and she eventually said, look, they are little people who should not be at an adult party. And I pushed her, and it was apparent what she was saying is they were minors. Now, she didn't see anything specific that was going on with them other than that adults were kind of huddled around them. But she told just a wild story about what was going on at the house, even at 7 in the morning, that this thing apparently raged all night long.
You know, it's amazing. TMZ always gets such great scoops, and this one might be one of your best as well. You got a hold of one of the freak off tapes. Your producers have seen it. The description is, and I'll quote, "It's porn directed by Diddy himself." And a male sex worker really sort of walks through what happened in the experiences that he had. They didn't sound illegal, but they sure seem to comport with a lot of the other stories that have been told.
Yeah. So the this was a threesome. What you would ask me about earlier about Tania Wallace, she said there were more than 100 people at that party, including at least 4 celebrities. But this, what you're talking about now, was a threesome, and that's something that the U.S. attorney even referenced, and his lawyer in an earlier documentary we did. He was describing threesomes. He says it was all consensual. So yes, what we're told is that this male sex worker was flown out to various locations over a couple of years: Miami, New York, Los Angeles, and one other. And they would meet in hotel rooms, and Diddy would often watch as he would have sex with this woman who was associated with Diddy. So that seems to be what the feds are looking at right now in terms of alleged sex if they are transporting somebody and perhaps paying them to cross state lines, that could end up being part of sex. Now, we know that this guy got a subpoena and he ended up not testifying before the grand jury, but talking to prosecutors, and we're told that he left.
Recently, a male victim of Diddy gave an interview on NBC News where he shared his disturbing experience. He claimed that Diddy spiked his drinks at a party and then assaulted him while his guards held him down, leaving him unable to escape the situation.